Welcome to What's My Tagline, a show where we put the microphone in front of the people who are typically behind the scenes, those responsible for marketing, sales, social media, PR, and event management. Hello, and welcome to What's My Tagline. I'm your host, Carol Flagg. Thanks for tuning in. On today's episode, I welcome Jared Johnson and Bill Klaproth to the show. Jared, Bill, and I participated on a panel together at Swaay Health Live in April, where we talked about the rise of healthcare podcasting and why it's become such a powerful channel for marketers and thought leaders. Now I'm bringing them together again to take the conversation further beyond why podcasts matter and into what's actually working right now and what healthcare brands still get wrong. And finally, where the medium is headed next. Jared, Bill, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah. I'm obviously going to have to edit that opening. Jared, Bill, I'm really looking forward to today's conversation as we take what we talked about in front of quite a sizable audience at Swaay, a pretty big auditorium. A little next couple steps forward from that conversation. But before we do that, just quickly introduce yourselves and tell our audience how you're involved in podcasting.
You want to go first, Bill?
I can go, sure. I thought beauty before age. That's why you would go first. That's what I was thinking. So, but if you want me to go first, I would be happy to go first, Jared. No problem. So, thank you, Carol. Yes, Bill Klaproth. I'm the director of marketing and production at DoctorPodcasting. So we help hospitals create their own self-branded podcasts to help showcase their doctors and reach their communities. It's a full turnkey solution. As we like to say, it's podcasting made easy. So that's what I do.
And I'm Jared Johnson. I'm a host of the Healthcare Wrapped podcast and founder of Healthcare Wrapped Media. The podcast has been around for a number of years, just eclipsed 500 episodes earlier this year. So it's been on the air for 8+ years. It's all about making healthcare more consumer-centered. So we do talk about everything from patient experience things to much more business and retail and preventive health topics and how those all actually intersect with healthcare and technology a lot. We'll talk about marketing. The Healthcare App Media side is a community platform where we're facilitating conversations that are very related to the podcast. So we're bringing leaders and builders and founders all together through virtual events. We have some upcoming collaborative work groups, some cohorts that are coming together here in the latter part of the year to just bring the right people and ideas to the table to grow adoption of consumer health and kind of see what makes sense and what doesn't in that space. So yeah, a lot of opportunities to facilitate conversations there.
Yeah. So our audience is in for a real treat today as the three of us chat and chatter and maybe laugh along the way over the next 30 minutes. But before we get into the heart of what we're talking about today, my first question of all my guests, gave you fair warning, if you had to describe yourself as a tagline, what would it be?
That's a hard one.
I know.
I would say something like, it's amazing what you can accomplish fueled on coffee and donuts. So, that could work, I think.
It works for me.
That could work.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm
I was
good
trying
with
to think
that.
of something like that was, like something about, grinding things out or just sticking with it, being resilient. So that was right along those lines. I think I'll go with be human, because my mind goes to a couple of different places. It goes to the yes, know how and where and focus on AI, use it in the right spaces, but also know when not to.
Yeah.
AI is not going to create relationships for you in my mind, not relationships that are valuable. So still be a trustworthy, normal, good human being. As we're, kind of entering this new world, or just, AI can be really overwhelming. I think maybe that's what was on my mind. I'm like, yes, I know, I do. I use it every day, but it's easy to just outsource all my critical thinking to it too, which I don't want to do. I still want to use my brain.
It's almost too easy to do that.
It's really easy.
You have to guard against it.
I'm going to tie the two together because I know I'm not human unless I have coffee and donuts. So there we go.
Nice.
All right.
Well, the AI doesn't drink coffee or eat donuts.
That we know of.
That we know of. That's coming.
It's coming.
I think
That's coming.
I think that's coming.
Feed me. Feed me.
Ow. No, just kidding. All right. I digress. All right. All right. First question. So obviously, healthcare podcasting, B2B and B2C, Bill, the arena you're in, has exploded over the last few years. I mean, I saw it with everybody with COVID. People had free time, I guess, but it hasn't really slowed down as a content play in marketing and healthcare. But are we entering a new phase right now? You know, are we crossing a Rubicon? All these metaphors. Are we, you know, doing something different? Is this a new chapter in podcasting? What are your thoughts? Bill, I'll start with you.
So I think from what I hear, people are moving from, should I have a podcast, to I really need to have a podcast.
Yeah.
I think what we've learned over the past year, video podcasts have been so hot and have exploded that what you can build off a video podcast, the different ways you can use it for discovery, use it as a content building machine, is so important now when it comes to content marketing. It can't be ignored. So I think we're hopefully getting into that phase of podcasting for healthcare.
What are your
I like
thoughts,
that.
sir?
Yeah, I'd build on that. I'd agree with that. I think you mentioned just kind of that recent post-COVID period, Carol. I do think, I mean, we all saw, and the stats back that up, huge rise in the
Yeah.
number of shows of people who launched a show. And I think since then, at least on the B2B side, I've kind of seen the market thin out. I don't know if it's necessarily gone, like if the market has shrunk. I think the market has grown, but you're seeing more shows that are showing their lasting power. You're showing the ones that were going to take it seriously all along, still going and getting better. And I think that's good for all of us because, you know, like nobody needs, when people say the world doesn't need another podcast, that means they don't need another generic one that isn't going to bring them any entertainment value, any information value to their lives. Nobody needs that, but that doesn't mean there aren't just as many good, valuable shows out there. So the market has changed in a way. A lot of those of others have just kind of faded away. And I feel like the quality is increasing a lot.
Yeah.
So I love seeing that.
Yeah, and I think too. I know we're touch upon this. I think even from a year ago, the role that video podcasting and AI plays in podcast creation is coming into play. But Bill, I remember this from the conference. You sort of mentioned in our panel that we were on that, like, it won't be that far away from a situation where we won't eventually even say video podcast. We'll just say podcast and just assume that there's a video component. And I see that as really a sizable shift, even from a year or 2 years ago in the podcast.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
absolutely true.
Yeah, and so but there are podcasts that come and go, right? Disappear after 1, 2, 6 episodes, run out of steam, or people didn't understand the bandwidth it takes to create a big, a successful podcast, I should say. What mistakes do you guys see? Obviously, both of you produce and have produced a lot of shows in your background. Jared on the predominantly the B2B side, some crossover into B2C, and definitely DoctorPodcasting in that B2C market. What mistakes do you guys see, even today, as long as podcasts have been flourishing over the last 6 or 7 years?
I was going to say, Jared just said something in his previous answer. He was talking about the ones that take it seriously. Those are the people that succeed. So the ones that treat it like a side project, or this would be fun, or don't really think it through, those are the ones that go away. But if you treat it seriously and you understand the value behind it and the importance of it, and you really map it out, how it can really be beneficial to you and what goals you have behind it, I think that's really important. When people don't do that, those are the mistakes that they make. If they don't know how to produce episode number 10, if they don't know how they're going to get to episode number 10, they shouldn't even start it.
Well, yeah, if you can't even come up with that list of those 10 topics or guests or however you want to structure the format of it, how easy is that thought exercise just to come up with 10? Because you're going to need more than 10, if you want to keep going on it. That's a great way to put it. I'd say, I mean, I still see shows that just don't put that much thought into it. Bill, to your point of like, what does it take to take it seriously? it's still at the end of the day, like don't overthink it. Like just think about it as much as the podcast that you're consuming. I would guess most maybe I don't know all, but like most people who are producing a podcast hopefully are listening to or watching podcasts. So take a page out of the book of the shows that you love, not just the ones you're like, okay with, like the ones that you love. What's the hook? Is it just super entertaining? Is it a celebrity? If that's it, I don't know how much I can help, or you're like us on this call, like we're like maybe we're celebrities in our own right, but like you know what I mean? Like people just all of a
Yeah.
sudden you start going to the celebrities in the space. Like that's a different type of show. And I think you even brought that up on the panel, Bill, of like
Yeah.
that's a different type of show. So kind of take that out of the mix. What's the information value, the entertainment value, the production value, and what is the hook? Do people trust you because you have information or a point of view that's interesting or different than other people? And just like focus on that, keep doing that, and find other ways to listen to people. A podcast, one of the limitations is it's a one-way medium for the most part. So you have to,
Yeah.
it doesn't take that much creativity to find other ways to engage your audience. I remember setting up a LinkedIn group or LinkedIn page years ago just to see who would follow like the Healthcare App, podcast. That's how I know the job titles of people who are at least following it on LinkedIn. Like there's a pretty good correlation. I can't get that information straight from podcasts because podcast stats and analytics are kind of broken. Like they're not that good, but we can still learn a lot that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What mistakes do you see? We talk about this all the time, just in general as in the work that we do, this idea of, okay, I don't want to call it a mistake, but kind of flip it around. Like what makes for a good guest and what makes for a good host? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about storytelling and a conversation. And some people are just natural at that and others aren't. But those are differentiators to me. That's to me what separates a mediocre good show from a really good or a great show.
Yeah, that's a
Spleen
really good
jokes.
point.
The
Yeah,
spleen
spleen
jokes.
jokes.
Spleen
Right.
jokes. You knew it was going to come up.
I
You knew
know.
it was
Coming
going to
I
come up.
wanted it. I wanted to
Coming
weave
out.
it in. Yeah, exactly.
Give spleen jokes and you'll always win. That is the takeaway. Tweet that out right now.
We
That's
got
it.
spleening to
That's
do.
it.
If you take one thing away from this podcast, talk about the spleen. It always wins.
Always.
That's it. I love it. So in my world of hospital podcasts, so we're interviewing doctors from hospitals. They are not media trained professionals. So it's great when we get a doctor that can really just speak off the cuff and can be very conversational and unscripted. That's what we're looking for. I think bad guests are people that are overly scripted or they write their answers out and then they read them to you because I've never been on a podcast, so I'm going to write all my answers out. That always is not good. You have people that are monotone and have no inflection in their voice. So there's all kinds of things that go into, I would say, a bad guest. But for us, as long as the information is good, as long as we're answering questions that the listener might potentially have, if we're solving audience problems, that's really what counts for me in the healthcare space like this when we're talking about doctors on podcasts.
Yeah, I think on the B2B side, I'd say the same thing. You definitely see the same thing with, I happen to talk to a lot of health tech executives and a lot of founders recently who are coming up with a device or a service that they didn't see in the marketplace and created it because it's a better way to do healthcare. And there's some pretty remarkable things. And there are some founders who like that creative energy, their founder energy just like oozes out of the episode. And there are those who they've clearly like they just haven't shared that enough publicly with people. So yeah, that polish is important of the person you're speaking to of if it feels like there's only so much of that you can draw out of them. I feel like you still as the host need to get a feel for that and find ways as much as you can during it. Like you can't just have a prescriptive list. I think the opposite, the other side of what Bill said of if the guest is writing out everything and that's all they know what to say, same thing as the host.
Yeah.
If you're so prescriptive that there's no flexibility of like, oh my gosh, like I wanted to ask them more about that, but that's not on my list of questions. Like have some flexibility as the host too. Just expect that, make it conversational. That's what people I think resonate with more.
Yeah. We talked about that at the panel too. A good podcast host, or we're in radio right now, or a radio show host has to like channel their inner journalist, right? They have to be curious. They have to ask questions. They have to stop and listen, and they have to be willing to take the risk of going off script, right? Because that's really what we're talking about. Because that guest said something that was a surprise or a aha, or like, oh, I didn't know that, and they have to be willing to I think, take that risk and open themselves up to taking the conversation in a different direction.
I think that's true.
The other mistake, and Jared, you mentioned analytics. The other mistake is I get this a lot because we have 16 radio shows and we've got another 20 podcast shows in our network. The lack of analytics, which is not unique to us. That's the world of YouTube and open platforms and Apple. You know the how many, but not the who. But this sort of focus on downloads and plays. I think it's a mistake I do to focus on downloads and plays. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think on the B2B side, the main benefit of a branded podcast that you're hosting and producing yourself is to soft build those relationships with people who would normally take your call. You won't get a CEO on the phone or executive who like just from a cold call, but you invite them to be on a podcast and share their thought leadership. You're much more likely to. And you have to set that up as a goal right at the beginning, though, because then that's not satisfactory if you were expecting it to act like other pieces of marketing as direct lead gen. There are cases where that works, where it makes sense, where that goal is part of it, but they're few and far between. I think because like those are ones that somebody on that show, I don't know, is really blazing a trail or doing something or talking about something way before the rest of the market is, and so everyone's tuning in. And maybe they've found a good way to create that as artifacts or something else that people are tuning in for. I wouldn't say that's very common on the B2B side, though. So you just have to think about, hey, just me and somebody else talking about a topic that everyone else is talking about. How engaging is that? Like, how differentiated is it? That's what trickles down to how many people are going to click on something to watch it or listen to it. So using that, I'm pleasantly surprised at how many organizations on the B2B side seem to understand now the benefit of it as a soft relationship builder, like warming up relationships as opposed to just figures, because also there's just so many shows out there.
So I had a former radio boss who had a chat with. He runs a podcasting company now, interestingly, and he said, so when I was telling him what we do at Doctor Podcasting, he said there are riches and niches. So we're not this, which I thought was really good, because we work with hospitals and they do podcasts basically on conditions or needs or other healthcare issues, and not huge audiences, but they need to reach the people they're reaching. So the right 500 people is a lot better than 20,000 people overall. If you hit those right people the right way, then you've got a very useful podcast. And I have a client that said to me one time that she said, I look at podcasting like a great relationship builder, kind of like what Jared was saying. It's not direct marketing. It's a relationship builder. You're establishing and creating a relationship with that hospital, with that physician. And a lot of times that is the difference between them choosing that hospital or going somewhere else. So even though you might do a topic on a rare disease, for those 75 or 100 or 150 people that it's affecting, when they're hearing that physician talk about that, and they're interested in it, and it's very relative, and you're helping them solve a problem, that is gold. And it might only be 75 people, but those 75 people are very valuable, especially if 2 or 3 or 4 become lifetime patients. I don't know what a lifetime patient value is generally. I don't have it off the top of my head, but that's very profitable for hospitals. Those are the kind of people they want. So for those 75 people they reach, that's really important. So again, downloads, like you said, Carol, we all kind of look at it like there's so much more to it than just
Yeah.
downloads, and it's that relationship building, which is really important.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that sort of, Jerry talking about, differentiating and relationship building, and Bill, you echoing that as well, and finding your niche, right? I think those are all important, and, downloads and plays are just one benchmark. And, are they the most important benchmark? Maybe not even that, right? It could be quite a bit down the ladder. But when you talk about the things that you're talking about, now we're moving like into like, okay, improving your show so that you can get those greater connections. You can differentiate yourself, what Jared was saying, in a sea of podcasts. Where does video come into where does video and AI come into that improvement process for doing the things that you're talking about a podcast show should do?
Oh, well, I can start on that if you want. So 2.5, 3 years ago, we were audio only. We didn't even do videos. But then video podcasts started to pop up a little bit, primarily after the pandemic. Everybody was on Zoom and people got used to being on Zoom, and that really sped up adoption of that platform, if you will, and the whole video thing of video calls. Before, we were basically just doing audio calls, even in our own day-to-day business dealings, and we were doing audio podcasts. But then after COVID, the whole video thing started and people started doing video podcasts. It has transformed our business. Just about every hospital we work with now wants a video podcast because the tie-in with YouTube. Everybody wants to be on YouTube. YouTube is like the biggest discovery spot for podcasts. If it's not number one, it's number two. So everybody wants to be on YouTube. And with that, video podcast, you can also repurpose it into shorts and reels and TikToks, all the things we were talking about. That discovery alone is worth it. Then you're getting in the scroll. Everybody wants to be in the scroll. That video podcast allows you to be in the scroll. And that's where you really get the discovery aspect. So you take that long form podcast, that's the mothership, if you will, and then building that content hub off of that. So creating those small little video reels is gold. It's the perfect way to build awareness for your hospital, build awareness for that physician. And when you start doing that, I think, like I said at the panel, you're building this great little content ecosystem off of that one main podcast. And I think that's what hospitals are definitely looking for today, at least in my hospital world, is that content ecosystem that they can build that stems off that long form podcast.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've seen the same trajectory. That's the same reason why Healthcare Wrap earlier this year took a little longer, but earlier this year became full video episodes. We had been doing short form clips for a couple of years and just grabbing that, but still not, for whatever reason, just going the full distance with episodes. But we do now, and it does make a dramatic difference. And I kind of add like one layer around that of having a community who are interested in the topic to be able to have like a place to share, in addition to, I mean, like LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts are the two places, because of B2B in my case, where we're tending to put clips most often. We did actually recently get on Instagram and TikTok just because, and like there's actually an audience for B2B stuff there too. Not to like neglect that at all. It does come there. The other side of it you asked, Carol, was about like where does AI come in about improving this stuff?
Yeah.
I'm seeing it as solo shop, right? For me in my case, being able to use some AI-based tools. My favorite platform is Riverside, if we get really tactical for a second. Riverside allows me to record and has a lot of in-platform AI tools that I can't just say, hey, AI, do the episode, but it makes things a lot better and a lot faster in the process. And it does create some clips that I've never just taken it on its own. It still needs a little bit of modifying, but that's still faster than starting from scratch. And it's learning those tools, kind of incorporating them in the mix. I mean, ideally, I do think like it's going to happen, right? Like you're going to have more content creators at their base, like using AI to do everything. And that, just like in any other like marketing or communications or media task, the default is going to be probably a little generic. So
Yeah.
like the output of it. So like, yeah, use it, learn it, find what works for you, but like don't lose what makes your show great while you're doing that. It would be what
Yeah.
I've seen.
Yeah. I think AI is a big time saver for a lot of people. And like Jared was just saying, you can have AI do the clips and the summaries and the titles and the episode descriptions. It really is a huge time saver that way. So it is allowing creators, even the people I work with, we work with smaller rural hospitals. Some of them are a one-person marketing shop. AI is certainly helping them with some of that, I don't want to call it busy work, but some of those more tasks that that AI certainly can help you with and actually excel at, to give you more time to do other things and pay attention to other things. So certainly is helping in the podcast world. But we don't want, Carol, we don't like podcast hosts though. We're, the fake podcast hosts, that's a no-no, because people see through that, and that people want authenticity.
Yeah.
They don't want fake podcasters. They want real human beings. So as Jared was saying in his for his tagline, we got to remain human. That's really what people want, is human. So I would say use AI to help you create the podcast and do the legwork around the podcast, but certainly not on the podcast.
Yeah. Human first, always.
Human
always.
first. I like it. Human
I
first.
agree. I like human first. Believe it or not, we only have a couple minutes left.
What's
And
wrong? Come on, Carol. Come on.
but that's
Come on. What do you do?
but that's why I get to have you back for part 2.
Oh, okay. I like that.
There you go. Part 2. All
I
right.
like it.
So I'm adding kind of a new little segment for my last couple of minutes for show, and basically we're talking about quick takes and trends, and just gonna ask you a couple questions. We'll get through as many as we can in about a minute and a half. So brevity is key here, but stop. All right, one healthcare podcasting trend that's overrated.
Still trying to be viral. Everybody's like, I've got to get that viral clip to get 1 million. Forget it.
What does it even mean anymore, right?
No.
Just say,
Forget viral.
Comparing it to Joe Rogan and thinking that's the only podcaster.
Oh
out
my
there.
God, that's such a good one. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I hear it all day long ad nauseum. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the one trend that's underrated?
I mean, I love having a community built around it, that you're not just putting it out there into the ether, but like you have a way to actually see what people think about it.
Yeah. I would say even like podcast SEO, AEO, I think there's a lot of value there if you do it right. So especially if you get that interview right and then it gets on a transcript, that's all great information that AI is looking for when somebody's looking for doing that search query.
Jared, Bill, thank you for sharing your time with me. And we will do part 2 because we're just at the tip of the iceberg here.
You promise?
I promise.
Okay. All right. Good.
I'm my own little media company.
That's right.
I can book guests.
You are. I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
You can learn more about Jared Johnson on LinkedIn, and be sure to connect with him. And of course, learn more about Bill Klaproth at DoctorPodcasting.com and connect with him on LinkedIn as well. You can learn more about me at healthcarenowradio.com on my program page. Be sure to connect with me. And of course, you can always send me an email at carol@healthcarenowradio.com. Until next time, I want to know about you.